Hi Stampers, Diane Dimich here with ddStamps.com. Hey Joan, cold and wet in Minnesota. Yeah, it's not wet here, but the weather has certainly changed and it feels like fall tonight. And we have so much smoke from Canada, I guess it's coming in from. So that's been kind of crazy. And Virginia's wet too. Oh, and Hilda made it. Good, thanks. Hey guys, welcome to my stamp room. For those of you who don't know me, my name's Diane Dimich, and I have been a Stampin' Up! Demonstrator for a long time. Oh, 28? No. I'm gonna figure it out. Since a long time. So, anyway, 1996. So what does that make? 29 years. 28 years? 29 years in there somewhere? Anyway. Welcome to my stamp room. I'm here tonight to show you my tutorial for the month. So every month I do a tutorial for anybody that places an order with me. They get a free PDF from me. Tonight's there's 4 projects tonight. And then if your order is over $50, I add in a packet of supplies that I send you with like the paper, the cardstock, embellishments, so that you can make the 4 cards that I made for the month. Includes everything except for stamped images. You have to produce those yourself. Most of my projects that I do can be done with just the stuff that I send you and whatever that you have at home. Although tonight I'm actually doing the Perfectly Pears, which was a stamp set that I didn't think I needed till I started looking at stuff and then saw the paper, and it's beautiful. So anyway, I'm gonna go ahead and flip my camera and I'm gonna get started. And hopefully I'll have no issues. I did a Facebook Live yesterday and it was horrible. My people called, my volume went out. It was the first time I'd done a Facebook Live for a while. I was trying something new. And then when I went to go videotape the video that I was doing on Facebook Live, my phone kept ringing. But anyway. So anyway, just want you to be aware that the holiday mini catalog, I call it the Holiday Mini Catalog. Stampin' Up! Calls it the September to December Mini Catalog. It is now available. Everything in here is available. I don't think there's any back orders at this point yet. Lots of great fun projects in here. So check that out. If you don't have a holiday catalog and you want one, and you don't have a demonstrator, send me an email or a message and let me know, and I will get one out to the mail to you. I am getting another shipment of them tomorrow, so that's awesome. All right, the other thing is that there's a whole new slew of online exclusives. And I have on my website, I think on my website, no, I might have to go back and check. But there's a PDF that you can actually download and print if you want to see. Otherwise, just go into the Stampin' Up! Store and go down to the category of online exclusives and you'll be able to see all the new that's been added, and there's lots, and it's awesome. So anyway, tonight we are using the Perfectly Pear stamp set, and we're going to use the Painterly Pears paper. That's a lot of P words, but I wanted to show the paper, and I only have some of it. I only have like scraps left because I have been making so many projects with it. But it's beautiful paper. Both sides are cool. Back side is fairly tame compared to the front. I love this with the Secret Sea. And then there's this beautiful Darling Duckling. This piece here is beautiful, and you could just cut it up and make cards right out of that. There's this one with the green on the Mossy Meadow on the back. There's this one here, and this one's interesting because you can use this just as paper, designer series paper, which I am doing tonight. However, Joan, is this working? Yes. Can you hear me? I hope. Anyway, and I hope you can see the video. It's making me kind of nervous. Anyway, this particular piece of paper is great because the dies that go with this set actually coordinate with the images there. These are the dies. And so you can see that this die cuts out this, you know, they'll cut out the products in the paper. The other thing I loved about this paper is that it coordinates with the stamp set. So if you ink up your stamp set, you could actually stamp right over the top of these and give your pear images a little outline. And your flowers. So before you cut them out. Anyway, it's kind of cool. And then the last piece is this one. I love it. I actually have, this is my last sheet of it. But that petal pink with that is beautiful. All right, Joan, I hope it's working. I hope that the comments are working. It looks to me as if I'm online. So, all right, so this is the stamp set, Perfectly Pears. It's got some great sentiments. It's got these great stamps, which are two-step stamps, which when I first began stamping, two-step stamping was my favorite. Oh, the light's in there. And then these are the dies. And so you get your dies that will cut out the images. And then you get what I call my standalone dies, which you can use just by themselves. And then a couple of the labels that actually match up with your sentiments to use. So there's that. All right. I don't know, Joan, if it's working. Anyway, we'll get started. So the first card uses Mossy Meadow as my card base. One of the things you're going to notice tonight is that all of my images or all of my cards use a 3x3 square of designer series paper. So I know that all of you have tons of paper. Oh, good. Diana, you made it and you commented, so I know you're here. So all of them start with this 3x3 square and we go from there. And use up the paper you have and make cards using these same techniques. All right. So here's my 3x3 piece of cardstock. I've got a couple of strips of designer series paper that I've cut. And I've got this piece of designer series paper. So how I did this was I wanted to go ahead and use some strips up that I had. And so I'm just going to go ahead and add. Oh, good. Joan got it to work. Yeah, I think it was on your end, whatever was happening. So what I'm doing is I'm lining this up, and I see that I cut these strips longer. I cut them all the way to the edges. This one I actually cut from 5 1/4. This is 5 1/2. I'm going to leave it. I'm not going to cut them right now because it's going to work just fine. So I'm going ahead and I'm putting these on here so that I have a border here that's about the same as the one here. And I just wanted to show you, using up your strips of paper, what you can do. And of course, I'm going to run out of, oh shoot. Let me grab, darn it. I can't tell if it, sometimes our tape, I think it gets caught in itself. So one of the things that Brittany taught me, my daughter-in-law, is if you lift this piece up, this gear up, and take this one, and you just don't want them to touch because you don't want this to move the tape anymore. So I'm just lifting that up and then spinning that gear. And now I think it's going to work. And I don't know why it does that. I think it does that because we get gummed up adhesive in here and gummed up adhesive in here. I probably need to splurge and purchase some more tapes that, like here's a bunch gummed up here. And that kind of gums it up inside there. But anyway, Brittany taught me how to fix it. So thank you, Brittany. She's my daughter-in-law. All right. And then I'm going to go ahead and add this piece. And so you see I just used 2 1-inch strips. And then this 2.5-inch strip just to make my card base. I've got another piece here of Mossy Meadow. I'm going to go ahead and add, this is one of my easiest cards I've ever made. I'm going to go ahead and add that onto my square and add this onto my card base. And then this piece is actually cut to go inside here. So I guess I'll do that. And if I wanted to, I could take another 1-inch strip of any of the designer papers and put it along the bottom just to kind of jazz up the inside of my card. But I can also stamp it if I choose to. I'm probably not tonight going to do that because I kind of want to just focus on the card bases. But you all know how to decorate your inside of your cards. Use up your paper strips. We have a million of them. I know we do. All right, let me grab a little strip. Oh, now I'm going to end up choking. just before we got started, I felt like I had a frog in my throat. It's so smoky here today that we couldn't even like see the mountains. It was that bad. I'm just gonna cut a little 1-inch strip of designer series paper, or a basic white. And I'm gonna show you using 2 of the stamps in the set and some mossy green ink. I actually loaded these up already, but you can see where I put both stamps onto my block. Now I could line them up right on, you know, a square, a piece of paper or something, just to make sure that they're lined up. And then stamp them at the same time. I don't really care for that. I think they're too far apart. So I'm going to stamp hello. And then, I don't want to lose these. These stamps are so little, I don't want to set them down just anywhere. And then I'm going to do friend. And because we're using photopolymer, there, I like that better. I thought this one had too big of a space between it. And I'm telling you what, nobody else would think that got this card. They'd think it was just dandy. So don't be so particular like I am. I'm just going to trim off that into like a little square. I might even trim off a little bit here. And I'm just using my scissor and I'm eyeballing it. And that's going to get put on to the front of my card. And I'm going to use dimensionals. I'm going to have some right here. Put a couple dimensionals on there. And voila, that card is done. So really, it's just designer series paper and a sentiment. And then, because we can't leave well enough alone, I have to bring in my gems. And these are the low profile sparkle gems. And you can see that I've kind of gone to town and used a bunch of them. I do love them. And you probably can't see that, but that little sparkle right down there adds so much to this card. So I'm just going to go ahead and using the same color mossy green, I'm going to place them on my card. Attempt to get them lined up. But just that little bit of sparkle kicks it up a notch. We all are, Joan. Joan says that she's her own worst critic, and I believe that about every stamper I've ever known. So again, you're not alone. All right, so now I'm going to flip this over so I don't get that ink all over everything. We're going to come in with another card, very similar, using the Secret Sea, which happens to be my favorite in color. My in color club went out today, the last club, and oh, those colors are just so beautiful. You know, when I first saw them, I didn't necessarily think I loved them, but as I've used them over the last few months, every single one of them. I love Secret Sea with Cloud Cover. 2 beautiful blues that go together. I think they're going to make some beautiful Christmas cards. So again, I just cut strips of designer series paper. Go ahead and... This one's just going to get placed kind of smack dab in the middle in the hopes that the borders would be about the same. And then this piece, which was my favorite of this paper, I'm going to use this way. And again, I'm just going to line it up, just 2 little strips of paper, and that gives myself a nice base. All right, and then this one's going to go on the inside. So I'm going to put that on the inside. And then we're going to take our 3-inch square and adhere that to a piece of Darling Duckling. So these are just some great colors that go together. And then you've just got that square. And we're going to add that onto our card base. And how I do that is I just kind of eyeball it, but make sure my border here, here, and here are very similar. And then we're going to take a piece, just a scrap of basic white and our Secret Sea ink. And we're going to add a sentiment onto the end of this. Cut that off. I'm going to close this before I end up putting this all over. Now I'm just going to do a little banner. So I'm going to take my scissor and I'm going to cut right up what I believe is the middle. Again, if you don't get the middle, it's not the end of the world. And then you're going to go from corner to that middle cut, and then the corner to that middle cut. Yay, I did pretty good there. And then we're going to add a couple of dimensionals. On there. And this is going to get lined up on this piece with just a little bit of a lift. But really cute. You could do this with any of these stamps that you have and the paper. All right, and then we're going to take some of these Secret Sea Glimmer. Look at how shiny they are. Oh, they're so shiny. And we're going to do the same thing down here. These actually are a little bit brighter, show up a little bit better. Oh, that is way off. Okay, if I really wanted to get technical, I could have used like my take a pick tool. There we go. Close enough. And there is the next card. Again, just a 3-inch square of paper. They're beautiful. This paper is so pretty. All right, let me move these out of the way. Now we're going to come in with a card that we're going to stamp. So this is the next card. And I'm going to stamp the background. I'm going to stamp some flowers. I'm going to stamp the sentiment. And I'm also going to stamp those pears. So I've got some pieces. I did go ahead and cut out this little hashtag from the dies because I just wanted to save some time and also so that I wasn't off screen for so long. All right, so here's my base. I'm going to take the Darling Duckling ink and the 3 little flowers stamp, and I'm just going to go ahead and kind of stamp randomly. So I personally, when I'm stamping randomly, like to go off the paper. I like to spin the stamp. Mostly what's going to show is the outside and a little bit down here. Lots of it will go into triangles so that, you know, you got 3, a triangle. It just looks good for a design feature. All right, so I did the flowers, and then I'm going to come in with the 3 little insides of the flowers, which you can barely see this, but you'll be able to see it when I stamp it. And of course, I have to remember I churned my stamp. So the flowers, there we go. You'll be able to line them up once I remember how I churned my stamp. And if I get it off, it's not the end of the world. Nobody's going to look at this and go, oh my gosh, she missed that by 1/8 of an inch. The only one that's going to say that is me. Because that's what we do to ourselves. All right. I think I didn't get this one. Let's get the middles of this one. There, I got them all. Didn't get this one. We'll do that one. All right. And then there's this little speckle stamp in there, which I really like. It's just kind of fun to stamp this around to just fill in some of those spaces. And again, I'm kind of churning the stamp as I stamp it. No rhyme or reason, I'm just churning the stamp. But there, I just wanted to show you how you make your own background paper. All right, now, again, we have a couple layers of cardstock. So I have my little, I better close this. All right, so I have my 3-inch square, right? And I'm going to take that square and I'm going to put it into my cutter. Oh, you know what? I wanted to show something tonight. You will see that my cutter is full of paper. So if you have a paper cutter that has one of these gutters in it, once in a while, take something. I'm going to take my scissor, which probably was not the best choice, and look at what I pull out of there. So these are all things that make your cardstock fuzzy. When you cut it with your paper cutter, if there's stuff in your gutter, then you don't get a sharp cut. So I'm just going to go ahead and clean that out. I'm glad I did that. All right, so then I'm matching up these corners. So this corner and the opposite corner in that gutter. Make sure I don't move the paper once I have it in there. And I'm going to cut that into a triangle. I'm going to do the same thing with this green piece. I have those two triangles, and then when I take these pieces and layer them, where's my, here it is. I feel like I'm always looking for my adhesive. I'm just going to go ahead and adhere these right onto those triangles and make a little layer. And I did make sure when I was lining these up that I kept the paper so that if it was right up next to each other, it would match up. You probably don't have to worry about that. And then I'm going to take this piece and add these triangles on. And again, my goal is that the border that goes around here will be the same. And then I'll add this piece. So again, just another 3-inch square. This is going to go ahead and get added onto here. And again, I'm just making sure that my border on those 3 sides are very similar. And then I'm going to take this piece and we're going to use Mossy Meadow. And we'll go ahead and we'll stamp these pears with the Mossy Meadow. And the flowers with the Darling Duckling. I'll put my insides into my flowers. And then this one has another piece that is the 2-step part of it. And so I'm going to take the Darling Duckling, and I don't really need to do anything to this stamp. You're going to get texture no matter what, but I'm going to show you a little technique. So because I stamped that in Mossy Meadow, I can actually see it. Hopefully my head doesn't get in the way. I can see exactly where I'm stamping, but you get that texture because of the way this stamp is developed with little tiny dots. You get that shading easily. Now another thing that you can do is you can take the Darling Duckling and you can add another color. So I'm going to take a little sponge dauber and a little bit of Mossy Meadow just on the edge there. And looking at my stamp, I'm just going to go ahead and add a little bit of Mossy Meadow. And let me show you on a stamped piece. Oh, I need that. I better not stamp on that. I will stamp on this. So you can add a little bit more shading and you see how your pears then have a little bit of that mossy green in there. So this is a fun way to add some different texture to your stamps is by just using a sponge dauber and adding in some color. So now on this one, because I'm going to use this sponge dauber, I'm going to go ahead and just use my sponge dauber. You could use a Q-tip, you could use a blending pen, and just sponge in. And I'm not concerned about it being perfect. And I'm just going to add a little green to the leaves. And there is my pears. Dots are that way. So the dots are on there. So this one is cut on purpose to have dots on it because they want that shading. And so the dots can either be closer together or more apart, depending on if it's going to be a bolder side or a... Does that make sense? So you might have a lot of dots because it's going to be filled in more. But yeah, the dots are there on purpose to make it so that it is shaded. Now, I'm going to take and cut out the pears and cut out the flowers with these. And I am going to use some tape. But yeah, so that technique that Stampin' Up! Uses with the dots is on purpose to make them so that they can shade stamps, put more ink somewhere else than, yeah. So it's kind of a cool technique. I'm going to take this piece and I'm going to cut a little label for the congratulations, and I'll be right back. We have some stamps that look, what do they call them? I bet you somebody online can tell me what they're called. But I just had it too. Distinctive stamps. So that's what the dots are. So Stampin' Up! Has a technique that they've done called distinctive, which tries to mimic the real, like a look of a real object. And they call it distinctive. And that's what those dots do. And you'll see that with these pears. Let me pull out the big pear. But you'll see with the pears, you know, I didn't do any more inking on that or any one side. But you can see how the dots make it highlighted on this side, and there's some empty spaces, some white space in there for shading. Or not for shading, because it's for highlighting. Shading, it would be darker. Highlighting it is lighter. I hope that makes sense. Let me grab the big stamp, the big pear, because I think you might be able to see the dots actually on that one. Let me grab a block. Try to get my fingers out of there, but can you see the dots? So you can kind of see where we have these holes, so those are going to be highlights. And when this gets stamped, probably see it better on this side, but you can see that this is darker, so those dots are closer together. It's more solid. And then this side, they're a little bit spread out more to make it lighter. But it's very cool. It's very fun to just take one stamp with one ink and make a easy highlight. All right, so I'm going to add a couple of dimensionals to my pears. I'm going to stamp the congratulations. I'm going to use Mossy Meadow. I love the photopolymer stamps because I could see exactly where I was stamping, and it's much easier to line up. Is that the same as in the set Flowing Flowers? I believe it is. I have to look it up, Flowing Flowers, but I'm sure that it is. And like I said, it's a distinct thing called distinctive, and it's done on purpose. So I'm just going to add my flowers. I'm going to add my hashtag, but I think I'll probably use some green glue. I call this a hashtag, but it's not really. It's a whole bunch of hash marks. I'm just going to add a little bit dots of glue, and I don't need a ton on this because this multi-purpose glue sticks really well. Now I could have used an adhesive sheet with this, and then it would really stick. And that's going to just get added on there for a little bit of texture. And then I'll add in my sentiment. And then this card, I'm actually going to use some of these yellow Darling Duckling glimmer dots, and these really show up. So I only have 2 flower insides that are actually showing, but you can see how sparkly they are. So there's card number 3. Now the next card, let me put these away because otherwise I'll end up with ink all over my card bases. The next one is actually my favorite. I love this technique. I love how it looks. So this is the card, and super easy to make. I did do a little bit of cutting beforehand. I cut out one of our vines from the dies. So that's this die here, and you can see where you get the texture in there. I love the look of that. And I cut out a whole bunch. I don't know if they're all here, but I only need 3. So I cut out some of these little flowers with the petal pink. All right, so I'm going to lay that there. And then I have these pieces of cardstock. Let me check questions here. A friend has that set, and we have been trying to figure out how they got the shading. Yes, that's exactly how they did it with the dots. I know, it's kind of an amazing technology, and photopolymer stamps have come such a long way, but I love that distinctive. All right, so here is our base. It's petal pink. Then we're going to take a piece of that designer series paper. We're going to use this side of it. Add this to my card base. It's so pretty. Now, these are not, I would have normally, oh, there's one of those little flowers. I'm going to find them all over. I would have normally cut one strip, but I would have had to cut into the last piece of my petal pink paper, and I didn't want to do it. Because I kind of think I have, in my head, I have a card I want to make with it, and it's going to need a 12 by, I don't know, 6 piece or something. So I thought, well, I found these scraps, and I can use them. So I'm just going to add them onto my card. Yeah, I kind of feel like I was being selfish because I'm like, I want to save that paper for something special. However, I don't encourage everybody to save their paper. My something special will probably happen this weekend. All right, and then I'm going to take this piece and kind of line them up so that I have that band going across. And then I have these strips of Secret C, and I'm going to take this 3x3 piece and my cutter. I'm always amazed at the mess that I can make in such a short amount of time. All right, so what I'm going to do with this piece is I'm going to cut these into 1-inch strips. So there's one. I'm going to keep them in order. And then this one. My paper cutter works so much better now without that piece of paper in there. All right, so these are my 3 pieces, and I'm just going to add them onto my Secret C layer. Again, you can do this with any of your designer series paper. Thank you, Joan. Joan said she loved my card. All right, so there's that. And I'm going to put these on with dimensionals. I'm going to use up this sheet soon. I always feel like I've accomplished something when I've used up a sheet of dimensionals. I don't know why. It just makes me want to pull out more. I'm going to put something in the middle too, just so that it doesn't bow too much. And I want to use up these dimensionals. Just kidding. All right, so then what you're going to do is you're going to flip these over, make sure they're in the right order so that they kind of go consecutively. I usually start with the middle one on this particular project. And again, I'm guessing. So I want to make sure that I'm kind of in the middle. I'm just eyeballing. And that my border is straight. And I think I did pretty good. I think that's in the middle. And then these other pieces can come in. And you want to just line them up at the top and the bottom and make sure that you have the border about the same inside. There's no exact measurement. You just do it. And then I'm going to do the same thing on this side. There's your card base. Again, any designer series paper will work with this. All right, so this is one of my favorite dies. I love this die. And actually, I'm just going to kind of lay it across the top of the cards. And I could have done this in a different color, but I really liked the Mossy Meadow. I'm going to show you some cards that I did where I actually sponged ink on this. Like I sponged duckling and then, I don't know, probably green. All right, so I'm just going to take my tape. Probably should be using the multi-purpose because I don't want to tear this, but put a few on there. And then this is just going to lay across my card. Like that. And then I'm going to take these little tiny flowers and put some glue dots on my card. I guess I'll just add 3 and add my flowers on there. These flowers are cut with the petal pink. I'll show you another card where I cut them with basic white and then sponged a little color on them. They do have, I don't know if you can see it, but they do have a little dot inside the flower. Show it to you. Maybe. Yeah. Can you see it? Anyway, that little dot can actually come out. And then I'm going to take some of my sparkly and make those the insides of my flowers. So my flowers are yellow on the inside with that petal pink. I don't have another small one. Oh well, we'll use a big one. Probably going to overtake that flower, but that's all right. So there's that. And then the last thing we're going to do is we're going to take... Oh, here. I already cut it. I knew it that I had. Here's the label. And I'm going to stamp the thank you in Secret C. One thing I liked about this was how it pulled in some different colors, the petal pink and the Secret C, beautiful together. All right. Now, one of the things I do is, because they're photopolymer, I can see where I'm stamping and I get a pretty good image. However, if you could always stamp it first and then glue your label or tape the die over the sentiment before you cut it out so you have it perfectly aligned. And then I'm just going to add the thank you right there. Super easy. They're all done with 3x3 squares. I love that card. All right, let me show you some other cards. I took a piece of 6x6 and then some other pieces of designer series paper. But I used the 6x6 of this, cut it into 3x3 squares, and then just, these were cut in half and then layered. Same technique as this one, but just done with squares. And then, of course, I added the ribbon. I tied the ribbon on there, and I did a little dot. Oh, let me see. Yeah, you're right, Joan. I should use the take your pick tool, but it's out of habit. I just need to pull it out and have it here and use it because it does work great. I was using it the other day, and I have it in a drawer, and I probably shouldn't. I probably should take it out of the drawer. Similar, this one's similar with the 3x3 square. But look, I used those yellow darling duckling dots, and they really show on that. Here's the pear, done very similar. I added a little bit of paper down there and some ribbon. But I love this one. Okay, so this is the one where I took basic white and then I sponged a little bit of darling duckling on there. And then I added my gems in the flowers and on the thank you. I love that one. All right. So those are my cards for my tutorial. You will get the products. You'll get the cardstock, the paper, whatnot to make these cards, the embellishments. So you'll get the stuff to make those 4, they're awesome. Those are beautiful. I love the 4 that are all done very similar, just using Mossy Meadow and Darling Duckling cardstock. Those are the only cardstocks I used. But I loved how they turned out. They're beautiful. This paper, oh, it's lovely. All right, and so the other thing that I just wanted to mention tonight is my Create With Me Club is using the same suite of products. So we're using the paper, the ribbon, the embellishments, the pears. Just so you're aware, I do a monthly subscription club where I send you a packet of supplies. So you get 12 by 12 papers. You get a half a pack of 12 by 12 paper, so a half a pack of the pear paper, a full bolt of ribbon, a full pack of embellishments, and then all the cardstock, and anything that's die cut that doesn't come in the stamp set and the dies. So anything that isn't these, I cut for you and send them in your kit, including the arches, which are some of my favorite dies right now. And I obviously used Spotlight on Nature a lot. But these are the cards, and they turned out really cute. I love this one. It's just a little different. You can see it's using a bigger sheet of paper. But I love the arches. This one opens this way, and they will have the white. I usually put white layers on the inside. This is one where I stamped the paper. So I don't know if you can see that, but this was the paper, and I stamped it. So that was this paper here. And I stamped it with Mossy Meadow. So you can kind of see how it just makes the pears look a little bit different. They pop out a little bit more. All right, so that, I showed that one, right? I showed this one. Did I show this one? No, I don't think I did. Anyway. And then the last one is this one, which opens, it's another fun fold, kind of opens up differently. We use some sponging. We're using the sponge daubers where we're making the pears different colors. So this was actually Petal Pink, Darling Duckling, and Mossy Meadow. I used 3 different colors. And the other thing I just noticed today was this little speckled stamp would be really cute stamped onto that, or stamped into your big pear, just to give your pear a different look. So anyway, that's Create With Me Club. You're more than welcome to read about it on my website, www.ddStamps.com. All the information's up there. But yeah, it's great because you get enough cardstock to make 2 of each of those cards. So 8 cards. Oh, and a little box. Let me show it to you. I almost forgot this one. This is part of the club this month too. It is this little box. So this actually ties around there. I hadn't tied it from when I showed it the other night. But this is a little box of note cards. So you get the stuff to do this too. You get a PDF of instructions, and then you also get video of me making all the projects and walking you through each thing step by step. But look at how cute these little note cards are. So they're 6x3. I used sponging and paper cutting. This is another one where, oh, this one is cool. Okay, so you'd asked about the dots. So this one was the big stamp that I put ink, the green ink on it too. Anyway, this is where I did that vine. I told you I did it in Darling Duckling and then sponged Mossy Meadow. So it just gave it a cool color. Anyway, that is Create With Me Club. If you're interested, it's $45 a month and you get $30 of product plus includes shipping and lots of goodies and a video from me and the PDFs. 2 cards with envelopes. That's even better. All right. So if nobody has any questions, all right, Joan, I'm going to challenge myself to use my Take Your Pick tool. Take it out of the drawer and actually use it. Thank you. I'm glad that you liked them all. That was fun. It's a great suite of products. All right. So if nobody has any more questions, it's time to go see who's on Big Brother. No, I'm just kidding. It's already over here. No, it's not over yet. But I'm going to let you go. Have a great weekend. It's hard to believe it's Friday tomorrow. It was kind of nice having a short week. And I will see you, no, I won't see you next Thursday. Next Thursday I have a event here at my house for stamping, but I might come on Wednesday night or Friday night. We'll see. I might try the Facebook Live again too, see if I can get better at that. Anyway, talk to you soon. Thank you very much. Good night, everybody.